I got confused. I know the little boy back.
Okay, when you're done going pee, come talk to me.
Yeah, bring your ass out. Now you knew what the f you was doing. That's nasty. He's looking at me through the stall while I'm trying to pee.
He came out of there. I saw him.
And then he's licking his lips like I literally looked through the f***ing door. He's licking his f***ing lips
Will you
at
wait
me.
over here for a second so I can get your ID in a sec? Let's go over here. You got any weapons on you? No? Are you holding your pants up? Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go.
It's not funny.
Hey, I'll grab
It's not funny. See, when I slap him.
No, stop.
See,
Please
when
stop.
I slap him,
Stop.
I'm gonna be wrong,
Stop.
right?
Hey,
That's nasty.
just
He
relax.
violated my
I understand.
privacy.
Shalom. I would like to give all honor, glory, and praises to YAHAWAH, BAHASHAM, YAHAWASHI, BAHASHAM, Rakakwadash. I would like to give the honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone. Salutations to all sincere Akim, pushing his word across the four corners of the world. And as you just saw from this opening video of a mentally unstable Jake roaming around Walmart, and he was stalking Eve while she was going to the women's restroom. And later, throughout that video, as you saw, he pretended like he went in the wrong restroom after glazing Eve while she was in the restroom stall. I wanted just to highlight this through the spirit, like the times that we are coming into, quoting from Gerald Celente, who was a top economist, and he stated about America, and he stated when America becomes a dystopian society, how you're going to see crime levels in America that are going to rival that of a third world country, like these underdeveloping nations, with violence, kidnapping, all type of warfare, bloodshed, and the list goes on. And also grape, which is a sensitive topic amongst certain Israelite groups. But the reality of this, when a kingdom is being translated from one people to another, you're going to have these type of wild or crazy scenarios of women getting ravished. And most importantly, it's all written within the volume of the book, what will be partaken within the end times. And if you are within the right spirit, you just have to accept the words of Yahawah BAHASHAM YAHWAH, because at the end of the day, they are faithful and true. So a lot of people, including the bulk of our people, they really cannot measure the times diligently within itself. As it's stated within Jeremiah, the 8th chapter and the 7th verse, how my people, referring to you Israelites, do not know the judgment of Yahawah BAHASHAM YAHWAH. So just rerouting back onto the point of this lesson, a lot of these spoiled Americans, including these powerful and pampered women that are caught into the demonic ideology of feminism, are truly about to witness the harsh realities of Yahawah BAHASHAM YAHWAH via these divine judgments. And that takes me to Jeremiah 49 verse 31. Go up and attack that complacent nation. And that wealthy and more so that complacent nation is referring to America. The hierarchy of Esau Edom has really pampered and catered to these Americans. By the mechanism of conveniency, you can be able to just go online and shop with easily access, where everything is just readily available. So therefore, that concept has blinded a lot of these Americans. And they do not take into consideration of the starvation, the violence, the warfare, the exile, or the graping that be taking place in these so-called underdeveloping nations, and not knowing that these same harsh realities are coming to the front doorsteps of you Americans. So again, with that being said, go up and attack that complacent nation, says the Lord Yahawah BAHASHAM YAHWAH. Its people live alone in the desert without walls or gates, because within the so-called United States of America, you can just freely roam from state to state, where the cities are not built like the ancient times, where the walls or the gates will prevent potential enemies from coming in. So America's like that great whore with her legs spread wide open, and where it's easily accessible for anybody to just come in and run through it. Verse 32, their camels and other livestock will all be yours, I will scatter to the winds these people who live in remote places. I will bring calamity upon them from every direction, says the Lord, Yahawah BAHASHAM, YAHAWASHI. And pursuant to Ezekiel 2:10, it goes into how there was a book written within and without, referring to the Holy Bible, lamentations, mourning, and woe, which highlights the times that we are coming into, which are the times of Jacob's trouble, a time frame that this world has never seen nor experienced before. And again, a harsh reality that's coming to the doorsteps of America is people getting ravished, especially the weaker vessel, which are you women. And that takes me to Lamentations 5 verse 11 within the NLT, the New Living Translation, and what I read within Jeremiah the 49th chapter, the 31st to the 32nd verse, was also within the NLT. And it says, our enemies grape the women in Jerusalem, and the young girls in all the towns of Judah. And this is written by our forefather Jeremiah. And while he was writing these scrolls, he was grieving heavily over the destruction of Jerusalem by the Babylonians in 586 BC, for the starvation, exile, violence, hence women and young girls getting raped. So you fast forward this to Babylon the Great, how much more intense it's going to get within the last seconds of the last days within Esau's empire, when he's about to soon come down with great wrath. And that's because that he knows that he has but a short time. And you're going to have a lot of loose screws out here, just as a prime example as you saw in the opening of this video. And what's a loose screw? Someone who is not mentally wired right, like mentally unstable. And of course, they are not governed by the spirit of Yahawah BAHASHAM al-Shah, like on a righteous side. So therefore, they are very irrational or very uncivilized, not being governed by a righteous or true standard. And again, as you saw from the opening of this video, that Jake started tweaking when him and that woman was outside the restroom and she was confronting him right in front of the police officer. And he did not try to play it off one bit. Like his eyes started getting more bigger, you know, like those crazy eyes. Like he was seriously lusting after that woman. And to make it even more crazier, while being in front of a police officer. So when Yahawah BAHASHAM al-Shah issues out these divine and diverse calamities upon the earth, especially here within America, Babylon the Great, which is that main hub that has that great divine appointment unto judgment, you're going to have these type of loose screws just roaming around freely and looking for their next victim, having no type of self-control or discipline, and being more tapped into that animalistic behavior. So again, our enemies grape the women in Jerusalem, and this was actually talking about one of our biblical arch enemies, the ancient Babylonians. But within this time frame, because what was written aforetime was and is also written for our learning, these same enemies are going to be the 2/3 of our own people, and also these other uncivilized nations. Like America's really going to be turned into the Wild Wild West. And it says, and the young girls in all the towns of Judah. And where you have these different social media platforms of these women and young women at that, displaying unto the world of all their body parts, or dressing half naked just for the world to see, and not thinking that these same draconian measures are coming to your doorsteps very soon. And again, you have these loose screws not being governed unto Yahawah BAHASHAM al-Shah on their right hand side, just licking their chops, waiting for that moment. And Yahawah BAHASHAM al-Shah is going to give them open unto all of their wild, demonic lusts, and having no type of self-control. And that takes me to Matthew 24:12, also within the NLT. And this is what Yahawah prophesied on what will be occurring within these end times. It says, sin will be rampant everywhere, and the love of many will grow cold. So therefore expect more people to become on demon time. And you can feel that spirit of a cold world right now, but it's going to get even colder when these same pampered Americans do not have the access to 911 or the police. And that's breeding a dog-eat-dog environment where people are going to be unsympathetic, tapping more into their animalistic nature, and just behaving in strange ways. And that takes me to Isaiah 32 verses 9 to 13, also within the NLT. Listen, you women who lie around ease, and more so this is referring to you American women who thrive off that ideology of feminism or women's rights, and where you have been enchanted to believe that you are liberated. and not knowing that who Eve made that deal with, the serpent. And he's soon about to take back everything that he charmed you and promised you. All of these so-called goodies that kept you on a higher plateau than the modern men. Hence this government assistance. So listen, you women who lie around and ease, listen to me, you who are so smug. In a short time, just a little more than a year, you careless ones will suddenly begin to care. For your fruit crops will fail and the harvest will never take place. Tremble, you women of ease. Yeah, you products of feminism, who do not have an idea or a clue of the type of apocalyptic judgments YAHAWAH BAHASHAM is about to bring forth. And it says, throw off your complacency, strip off your pretty clothes, and put on burlap to show your grief. And did it not state within 2nd Ezra, the 15th chapter, how Egypt should mourn? Again, going back to Ezekiel, the 2nd chapter, what was written within and without of that book? Referring to the Holy Bible, lamentations, mourning, and woe. And we're just at that point where YAHAWAH BAHASHAM is diminishing that American morale spirit from you Americans. And where now a lot of you are seeing that the realities of America, the future is not bright here. However, you do have some that still want to hold on and also have hope. And that's going to be unto your shame, your confusion, and more so your demise. So strip off your pretty clothes and put on burlap to show your grief. Beat your breasts in sorrow for your bountiful forms and your fruitful grapevines. For your land will be overgrown with thorns and briars, your joyful homes and happy towns will be gone. And according to 2nd Ezra 15 and 18, it goes into because of their pride, the cities, referring to these cities within America, should be troubled, and how the houses should be destroyed and men should be afraid. So if these so-called men are going to be afraid of all these draconian measures that's about to soon take place on the earth, then how much more the weaker vessel, you women? And that takes me to Zephaniah 1 verses 14 to 16. Again, within the NLT, that terrible day of the Lord YAHAWAH BAHASHAM is near, hence the second coming of YAHAWASHI, which is interchangeable with the second death. Swiftly it comes, a day of bitter tears, a day when even strong men will cry out. So again, if these so-called mighty strong men are going to be sore afraid of those diverse calamities that are soon coming upon this earth, then how much more you women? Again, how much more you women that are heavily caught up into conveniency, complacency, and just used to the idea of luxury, everything being catered unto you. But unto the women of YAHAWAH BAHASHAM, referring to the elect, you have nothing to worry about. Like, you really do have hope. And that's by getting conjoined with a hopeful elect man of YAHAWAH BAHASHAM. But unto these proudful Americanized women that have been totally saturated with this wicked and demonic philosophy of feminism, wisdom and knowledge of YAHAWAH BAHASHAM is not going to be the stability of their times. So verse 15, it will be a day when the Lord YAHAWAH BAHASHAM's anger is poured out, a day of terrible distress and anguish, a day of ruin and desolation, a day of darkness and gloom, a day of clouds and blackness, a day of trumpet calls and battle cries. Down go the walled cities and the strongest battlements. And again, when a kingdom is being translated from one people to another, because Esau is the end of the world and Jacob is the beginning of it that follow it, then you should imagine a world or a society entailing inhumane acts like great, terrifying, gloomy, or horrific times. And where those divine calamities, again, starvation, violence, or bloodshed, pestilences, or biological warfare, and people getting ravished, truly highlights a dystopian society, which is soon about to be the fate of America. So that concludes the lesson through the spirit. I just wanted to highlight the point at the opening of this video. Like, if you have loose screws walking around like this in public within the current state of normalcy, then how much more when they cut off the lights here, like cutting off the power grid, and where it's breeding a cold, unsympathetic spirit out here where it's going to be a every man for himself mentality. And that's the harsh reality that we do have to expect and accept. We're supposed to consume the whole role of YAHAWAH BAHASHAM, which entails the good, the bad, the ugly, because they all fulfill end-time biblical prophecies of the volume of the book. So with that, hopefully you all stay edified, you all stay strong, keep pushing forward. Shalom.